What's up, peoples of IRC and elsewhere? This is Undefeatable Twilight. I'm doing another top 10 video slash another video where I yell at the camera for ages. But this isn't about grammar this time. This is about video games, which have quite a few things in them that I could deal without, to put it mildly. So this is my top 10 lists of things in games I have right now that annoy me. I suck at categorizing things, so these aren't really, like, in any particular order. They're just 10 things that take place, or occur, or exist in games I have, that I own at this moment, that I'd really rather they didn't. Some of them are general things, some of them are specific to actual games. So, without further ado, let's get to this thing. My number 10 on this list is the perfect actions in Dragon Ball Raging Blast. Okay, so Dragon Ball Raging Blast is a 3D Dragon Ball Z fighting game not based on, well, quite similar to the Budokai Tenkaichi games. And let me tell you, the attention to detail for faithfulness to the actual show in this game is amazing. Pretty much every single character who can actually fight is playable. You can get special moves which are based on combo attacks that a character did once in the series. Pretty much every single battle from the anime is in the story mode, and from the movies too, and a few what if stories as well, which I haven't gotten to yet. And overall it's a pretty good game, but there's one thing in the story mode that is kind of annoying because it seems to happen at the most inconvenient times possible, and that is the perfect actions. Basically, when you're fighting a battle in story mode, occasionally you'll get a prompt at the top of the screen telling you to do a certain thing, usually use a super attack, but sometimes it could be something else. And if you do that, you get a perfect action, which means you get extra money at the end of the battle, depending on how many perfect actions you do, and sometimes some extra dialogue too, but it doesn't really... It's like in battle dialogue, so the battle still goes on. Well, fine, but you get like 2 seconds to do what it's asking you to do, and you don't know when it's going to come up, unless you've already done the battle before. It doesn't tell you before the battle what the perfect actions will be. It's basically just like, you're in the middle of a battle, and then all of a sudden it's like, hit with your super attack, and you have to do it like right now, or you miss the chance. And a lot of the time, so many times I've had it happen where, like, I've just done that, like, I've just hit them with my super attack, and then it says, hit with your super attack, usually the exact same one that I just used, and I'm like, I just did that, now my key's not, I haven't got enough key now, because I just used the attack. I mean, it would be great if they could actually give you a list of what the perfect actions will be before you start the battle, because otherwise you have no idea when one's going to come up. And I actually started deliberately not using my super attacks in the battles, just in case a perfect action came up to tell me to use my super attack. And that's not even getting into the ones that ask you to dodge or deflect attacks. I tell you right now, I cannot dodge attacks in this game. I just can't do it. I cannot get the timing down. It's basically, you have to press R1, which is block, like the second before the attack hits you, but I just cannot get the timing right. No matter what I try, I always get hit. And there's a lot of perfect actions that ask you to, like, it'll say dodge or deflect or something, and deflecting is even worse, because for that you have to hold R1 and then press left or right on the analog stick before the attack hits you. And I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just cannot get it to work, ever. Like, I've only got it to work twice, and that was out of sheer luck both times. So I don't know, I just give up at that point. When it asks me to dodge, I just block instead. At least that way I take less damage, and that's easier. I don't get the perfect action, but whatever. But yeah, the perfect action thing, it's kind of an irritant, I gotta say, especially when you got no key left, your enemy's like on the other side of the world, and then it suddenly flashes up like hit with your signature attack or hit with your super attack. Like, I don't have enough time. You gotta give me a chance to get ready to do this. Just spring it out of nowhere on me. There was one that even asked me to hit with my ultimate attack, and that's even worse because then you have to get into high tension mode, which means you have to charge up until your key is full and then keep charging up again until the high tension gauge is full, and then you have to somehow hit the damn enemy with your attack, and they don't exactly just stand there. And you get like 2 seconds to do it. If you're not quick enough, then, well, screw you then, you don't get the bonus. I mean, admittedly, you only get like a tiny bit of extra money at the end of the battle, that's it. You don't get any extra cutscenes or unlocks or whatever. But it's still kind of annoying because you have no idea when it's coming up. The game does not tell you, it just expects you to be ready. I think it's based on things that happened in the show. So if you are familiar with the show, then you might know what's coming up. But even then, it's not really obvious when it's going to happen because they come up like, I think it's after you deal a certain amount of damage or something. But yeah, so that's that. Okay, number 9 is action commands in RPGs, and specifically dodging attacks in it's like the Mario and Luigi games, because those are the ones I own, but I think this happens in other games too. Listen, when I play RPGs, I also want to do the battle, okay? Things like this annoy me because I'm a perfectionist, and if you give me the opportunity to, do something and have it and pull it off flawlessly, then I'm going to get really annoyed if I can't do that. And in the Mario and Luigi games, they have this weird system where, okay, when you do an attack, you have to press a button in order to do more damage. I can live with that because that's fine. That's just press an extra button. That's easy. But you can also dodge attacks, and over the course of the series, these dodges have become a lot more complex than they started out. In the first Super Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, the dodges were easy. You just jump or use your hammer at the right time. That's it. But later on, when the games moved to 3D on the 3DS, like with Dream Team and Paper Jam, the dodges got incredibly complex, and like a Dream Team in particular, some of these attacks are really hard to dodge. I don't know if it's just me or if that's how everyone feels, but for me at least, because, okay, Mario, first game, the enemies telegraphed their attacks, pretty obviously, I gotta say. Some of them were a little not so obvious, but it is, once you notice it, it's like, oh yeah, that's how you tell who they're attacking. But in Dream Team, you barely get that. I mean, if you do, then I'm not really familiar with most of the enemies telegraphing their attacks in that game. But even if you know who they're attacking, it's sometimes really hard to get the timing down because the attacks go so fast and they keep going. It's not just one hit. You have to dodge. It's like several hits that you have to dodge, and if you get hit once, then, well, you get hit. That's it. And again, this might be like a small thing to most people, yeah, because, yeah, of course you have to learn how to dodge attacks, and that's just a normal thing of any video game, right? Yeah. But again, it's to do with me being a perfectionist. If I get hit and I could have dodged, and this is an RPG. I mean, usually in RPGs you can't dodge attacks unless the RNG says you can. There's no, like in Final Fantasy, there's no dodge button. There's no thing that flashes up on the screen when an enemy attacks going, press this to dodge the attack. You just have to stand there and take it, or just hope that the attack misses. Mario and Luigi games are basically, I think, the only type of RPG that I know of anyway, where you can actually avoid damage altogether. Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario, you can press a button to guard, and in Paper Mario you have the super guard, which deflects the attack. But the Mario and Luigi series is the only one I can think of that actually lets you dodge, like completely avoid the attack in a turn-based RPG. So yeah, if you give me that option, then I'm going to want to use it, and if I can't use it, then it's going to annoy me. So yeah, so I'd much prefer if they were just straight up RPGs. Like, I have no problem with turn-based battles. I actually kind of like them because they let me relax and take things at my own pace. And if I get hit, then I got hit, and it's not my fault because I can't do anything about it unless, apart from, you know, equipping accessories that block or nullify damage. But that's a different thing. So I don't feel so bad if I get hit in an RPG because I know that there's nothing I can do about it. And again, that can be annoying in itself, but at least it's not my fault. Okay, next up, stealth sections in pretty much any game. I hate stealth. And again, this is part of me being a perfectionist, is that I want to do it perfectly. I want to do it right. If there's a sneaking section in a game where, you know, you have to sneak past enemies without them spotting you, then because of me being such a perfectionist, if I get caught in these sections, and it's not the kind where if you get caught you just restart the area. So basically, if I'm playing a stealth-based game like Metal Gear Solid, for instance, or Assassin's Creed, if I am trying to sneak and do things stealthily and not get seen and not get caught, and I get seen or I get caught, and then all the enemies are rushing towards me, my instinct is to basically restart because I screwed up, I got caught, and I don't want to do that. And my major annoyance with stealth in games is that it's almost never done well, and it's usually kind of rather half-heartedly thrown in. It's like, oh, you have to have a sneaking section here because we said so. God damn it! Even in games that it doesn't really fit in, like I don't know, Kingdom Hearts for one. Was it 358 Days Over 2 had a section where you have to sneak through Beast Castle without getting spotted by any of the characters. This is an action adventure game. This is a game where you run up to enemies and smack them with your keyblade. This is not a game where you sneak around. And this is, I wish games would have fewer random stealth sections unless they're actually stealth focused to begin with, because I don't want to sneak around. And yeah, okay, it feels good when I get it to work. When I sneak, it's amazing when I actually manage to pull it off, and I feel like such a badass ninja, just sneak through the stage and kill all the enemies, and no one even notices I was there. It's probably Assassin's Creed is probably best for that kind of feeling, but still, when a game is like just throws a random stealth section at me out of nowhere, I'm just like, can I just kill these guys, please? Okay, so yeah, that's that one. Number 7 is random encounters. I have to wonder, is there anyone out there who actually likes random encounters? Because I have 2 questions to ask Square Enix in particular, because Final Fantasy are notorious for this. 1, why did you think random encounters were a good idea? And 2, why did it take you so long to realise that they weren't a good idea? I mean, seriously, these things are the epitome of annoying in games. When you I just want to go to the next place. I don't want to have to be forced into a battle every few steps. I mean, it took Square Enix until Final Fantasy 12, 11 doesn't count because that's an MMORPG, it took them until FF12 to realise that random encounters are a bad idea. And from then on they had enemies happen in fixed encounters or semi-fixed in the case of 13.2 and Lightning Returns, where you can it's much better if you give people the choice. Let them decide whether they want to battle or not. I know there's a flee option, but you still have to get forced into a battle before you can use it. And that's basically the whole thing. It's just annoying when you just want to get through. You just want to get through an area. I'm on low health. I want to get to a save point. I don't want to fight. I don't want to be constantly forced into a battle, which I keep having to flee from. And most of the time, if you use the actual flee command instead of just using escape, you drop Gil, which is an extra annoyance on top of that. At least in FF9 and most other games too, I think. But seriously, just let me see the enemies. Let me decide whether I want to fight or not. Do it like Tales of Symphonia. Tales of Symphonia has the enemies on the map, and then touching one initiates a battle. That's the good way to do it, because that lets you decide whether you want to battle or not. If you don't want to battle, you can just avoid the enemies. If you don't level up, because you keep skipping battles, and that's your own fault, because you didn't battle enough. But don't force us to do it, okay? Because they just happen like at the worst possible times. You're on low health. You want to get out of the dungeon or whatever, or to a save point or a place you can heal and rest, and you just keep getting forced into battles over and over. It's annoying, especially when some games have like insanely high encounter rates. Like, I don't have it at the moment, but one game I used to have was Mega Man X Command Mission, which is kind of an average game. Okay, it's not the best Mega Man X game in the world, because they kind of tried to make a Mega Man X game into an RPG. But the encounter rate in that was so goddamn high. I swear, every 4 steps, I was being thrown into another battle. It got ridiculous after a while. So yeah, please, no random encounters. Just, if you want to make a game with random encounters in it, don't. Trust me, it's not a good idea. Okay, number 6, and this is a specific example. Number 6 is the theatre fight in Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX is a great game. It's probably one of my favourite Final Fantasy games of all time. But lately, when I've been trying to do it, it's been a humongous thorn in my side lately, because I'm trying to do a level 1 run, which is kind of why random encounters are so annoying, because when I get into a random encounter in this game, I have to reset. And this has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about right now, but I just want to make a brief tangent here, as if this video isn't already long enough. Because I don't have, usually anyway, the ability to use flee. And because my level is so low, I cannot use the escape option. Honestly, it won't work. Because whether or not you can escape, it depends on the average level of your party compared to the average level of the enemy's party. And because I'm level 1, my whole party is level 1, the chances of me being able to escape normally are so goddamn low that the enemy's going to kill me before I actually get away. And because I don't have the flee option, if I get into a random encounter, I just have to reset and go back to the save point and hope that I don't get into a random encounter again. It's very, very nerve-wracking. But that's a story. I might rant about that in another video. But the theatre fight. Okay, so at the start, near the start of the game, you perform in this play called I Want to Be Your Canary, in which you have to do a short mini-game to put on a stage fight for the audience. Basically, all it is you press buttons as they come up on screen. That's it. It's a quick time event, essentially. But it goes on for so freaking long. It's like 49 commands you have to enter. 49! And if you want to do... And this is a required mini-game. What result you get doesn't matter unless, like me, you're a perfectionist. And it's actually a good thing to be a perfectionist in this case, because if you manage to impress all 100 nobles, which means you basically get every single command entered correctly, you get 10,000 gil, and later you can get a moonstone, which is a very useful accessory, which you won't get another one until like halfway through disc 2, so it's very worth your while to get one now, because it increases your stats a lot, and it teaches your white mage shell, which halves magic damage. But this game, I hate it because, one, it goes on forever. Like I said, it's 49 commands you have to put in, and it's like one every 2 seconds or so. And 2, it somehow makes me completely lose control of my hands. I don't know what it is about this, but my brain goes backwards when I play this game. When I do this mini game, it'll say press up, and before I even thought about it, I just automatically press triangle, because it's the up button, but it's on the wrong freaking side. And again, it works the opposite way around too. It'll say press triangle, and I'll press up. If I have to, because you're ranked based on speed and accuracy, and if I have to keep pausing to rewire my brain and make sure that that my hands are pressing the right buttons, that might lose me precious time, and then I won't get the perfect score because I took too long. And if I somehow do mess up, there's no retry option until you get to the end of the game. So if you mess up at the start and you want to do it perfectly, then all you can do is either play through the rest of it pointlessly, or just mash X to try and get through it as quickly as possible, which doesn't really speed it up much, or reset and go back to the last save point, which actually takes longer because you'd have to watch all the cutscenes before the minigame again. It would be much better if they just gave you an option to like pause and select retry. It might do that in the Steam remake, I don't know, I'm playing the original PlayStation version, which doesn't give you that option. And again, 49 commands. It goes for way too long. And there's a lot of false information about it on the internet as well, because you'll find people saying that you need to use the square and circle commands to get the perfect score because they're flashier and therefore they impress the nobles more. That's wrong, that's false. The only things that it measures you on are speed and accuracy. That's it. As long as you enter every single command perfectly and don't take too long doing it, you will impress 100 nobles. It doesn't matter what commands you use. Okay, number 4. I might have to stop and get a drink at this point soon. Number 4 on my list is games that make you play them over and over again in order to complete them. I'm not talking about New Game Plus. That's an option. That's an option. That's a thing that you can do. I'm talking about games that actually make you replay the same levels or the same sections over and over, sometimes in slightly different ways, sometimes not, in order to get to the end of the game. And the one game that I have that does this right now is Super Mario 3D Land. I enjoyed Super Mario 3D Land. It's a good game. It gave me a bit of a challenge in places, probably mostly because I was playing on a 2DS and therefore didn't have the option to use 3D, so it was kind of hard to judge jumps sometimes. And I did lose a lot of lives on quite a few stages, and it took me a fairly long time to get past some of these levels. And I swear I died like 20 times on one stage. I don't remember which one it was, but it was, yeah, it was a challenge, I gotta say. And yeah, I know it becomes like super easy if you use the Tanuki suit, but I didn't have one and I couldn't be bothered to go back and get one, so yeah. So you complete all 8 worlds in Super Mario 3D Land, you beat the castle, the last castle at the end, beat Bowser, rescue the princess, game over, right? Wrong. Because doing that unlocks the special world, which is basically exactly the same levels as the normal world, just every level has a gimmick. Usually sometimes it'll be a time trial, sometimes it'll be a cosmic clone thing, or basically anything that can happen. It's basically exactly the same level layout, you just have to beat it with an added challenge. Complete the castle in Special World 1 and you unlock Luigi. And to complete this game fully, and again, this is not just an extra thing you can do, this is actually how you beat the game. This is actually how you get the proper ending. You have to complete every single level 4 times in total. Once with Mario in the normal world, once with Luigi in the normal world, once with Mario in the special world, and once with Luigi in the special world. Basically the exact same level you have to play 4 times. And again, some of these levels are pretty damn hard, at least they were for me. And if that wasn't enough, you also have to at least once hit the top of the flagpole at the end of the stage, which fortunately isn't too hard. As long as you have a Tanuki suit, you can basically just fly to it, but it's just an extra annoyance on top of that all. And then once you've finally done that, then you have to replay the last stage again. So this is the 5th time now you have to do this, because you have to do that 4 times as well. Then you have to replay the last stage again, and then you finally unlock the absolute last final stage, which you then have to again beat twice, once with Mario, once with Luigi. Fortunately, it doesn't have a special world counterpart, so you only have to do that one twice. And then you finally complete the game properly and get the proper ending. I mean, yes, Nintendo, you made a good game, but this is incredibly lazy programming. Why would you make us have to redo the same thing over and over? Okay, yeah, I forgot to mention that after you do that, you unlock the basically bonus, incredibly hard bonus level. Think like Grandmaster Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy 2. It's basically the same concept as that. It's like a few sections, each with a different concept, a different thing from different parts of the game, like the flipping platforms, the trolleys, the whatever. And then at the end of it, you get a message written out in coin saying just that. It says thank you, I think, and then you finish that and you're done. I don't remember if you get any actual reward for beating that level. I don't think you do. But and again, if you want a fully complete save file, you have to do that level twice as well. Once with Mario, once with Luigi, and hit the flagpole at the end. But that's not required for completing the game, but the rest of what I said is, if you want the proper ending, you have to do that. That's just lazy. Nintendo, I know you're better than that, come on. Okay, number 3, and this is going to sound very, very strange to a lot of you, because I doubt many people care about this, but I do. Like Final Fantasy IX, a lot of other games do this, but FF9 is one that I own in particular that does it. In FF9, like in many RPGs, PlayStation RPGs, you have to advance dialogue by pressing a button, most of the time. Sometimes the dialogue advances automatically. Unfortunately, the game never gives you any indication of when it's the one case and when it's the other case. Again, this might sound like not a problem at all to you. So what if you press X and you didn't need to? But that kind of thing is what is the kind of thing that annoys me. I don't like pressing buttons unnecessarily. If I do it, or if someone else does it, I get annoyed. But there's no indication as to when you need to press X to advance the dialogue and when you don't. So what I end up doing is, like, every time there's a dialogue box on screen, I end up like waiting 5 seconds before I press X every single time, just to make sure that I actually do need to press X to advance the dialogue, rather than just waiting, because sometimes you do have to wait for quite a while before the dialogue advances automatically. And again, you can press it and advance it, and it advances by itself most of the time anyway. Sometimes you press X and nothing happens. But I would like some kind of indication as to when I need to press X and when I don't. Legend of Dragoon is a game that does that. It has a little red arrow at the bottom of the dialogue box saying that you need to press X to advance the dialogue, and if it doesn't have that arrow, then you don't press X. It just advances by itself. And it would be great if FF9 had something like that, because they actually did some kind of artistic thing with the cutscenes in this game. It's hard for me to explain, but it looks really good, and sometimes you get a lot of like automatic stuff happening in a cutscene. Speech bubbles pop up, but they advance by themselves. You don't have to do anything. But sometimes you do have to advance the dialogue, but stuff is still happening while characters are going along. And if you wait too long to advance the dialogue because you think it's going to advance by itself, then it doesn't look right, because the action on screen isn't flowing properly as it should. So yeah, it would be a lot better for me anyway if there was some sort of indication about when I needed to press X and when I don't to advance the dialogue. Number 2, God, this is a long video, isn't it? Number 2 is games that basically throw you into the deep end without explaining anything. I know a lot of people hate tutorials, but tutorials are there for a reason. They're there to help ease the player into the game, to help get them familiar with the game and how it works and what its rules are, what you can and can't do, and how you can and can't do it. So hate them if you like, but they are, I wouldn't say necessary, because as if you've ever seen Ego Raptor's sequelitis video on Mega Man Classic vs Mega Man X, he explains how it is possible to use a game to teach a player about the game through playing it, by introducing the player to different things one at a time and letting them get used to it, and then gradually building it up from there. So yeah, but my main point is a player needs to be eased into the game. They need to have a moment to get familiar with the game and get to grips with how it plays. And there's one game that I can mention that I have right now that does not do this, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's World. I usually don't play Five Nights at Freddy's games because I don't like jump scares, but this is an RPG, and it's not really that scary, at least not as far as I've seen anyway. I've heard that it later does get quite scary, but basically this game, don't be fooled by the cutesy look of this game. It will not be nice to you. This is a game where you can very easily die in the very first random encounter, because it tells you nothing. It gives you no opportunity to get used to the game. It's just like a few lines of dialogue. There's glitches affecting our world, do something about it. And then you walk around, you get into a random battle, and the enemies just stop beating you, like, immediately. You've got like no time to react. There's no thing like letting you get used to the game or whatever. It's just like enemies, they're attacking you, do something quick. Oh wait, you're dead now. Great. It's like, the battle, these aren't turn-based battles. They take place in real time, and the enemies will start attacking you pretty much straight away, and they do a lot of damage, honestly. Especially for starting level enemies, these guys can kill you pretty quickly. And you've got like 4 characters, each with 3 commands, and the commands, it tells you what they do while you mouse over them, but the enemy is beating on you while you're trying to figure out what these commands do and what command would be best to use in a certain situation, because you've got a lot of information to process, and just give us some time. There's not even a menu where you can check the character's attacks and see what they do. You just basically have to get into a battle and then somehow figure out how to do this without getting your ass kicked. I mean, thankfully you do fully heal after every battle, but seriously, give us some time to get used to the game. Ease me into this, okay? I don't want to learn how to swim by being thrown into the deep end of the pool. It's worse than that. It's basically like teaching somebody to drive by driving down the motorway at 60 miles per hour and then telling them to get into the driver's seat. That's basically what it is. You like, react fast or you'll die. No, ease me into it, okay? Just give me some kind of way to get accustomed, acclimated to the game and how it works. Okay, and the number one on my list, or rather the last item on my list, because again these aren't in any particular order, is I don't know if this happens in any other games, but in the Persona games, this is basically the one thing that annoys me about Persona the most, which is the fact that if the main character gets KO'd, then it's game over. In an RPG, where you have a party of multiple characters, many of which have healing spells, many of whom have revive spells and revive items, and even if they don't, they can always run. And the worst part is that it never really explains why this happens, even with all the reasons that I just gave. If your main character gets KO'd in a Persona game, it's game over instantly, even if you had a character in your party who has a spell to revive KO'd allies. And they don't explain why this happens. It's like, yeah, fuck you, you're dead. And and the enemies know this as well. The AI is really horrible in Persona. It will do everything it can to kill you, including playing unfairly. And there's one boss in Persona 4 in particular that is a huge pain for many people because of this. Because this boss gets 2 turns in a row. Okay, this is a turn-based RPG. This boss will get 2 turns in a row whenever it attacks, and it loves to use this combo of what's it called? Evil Smile, which inflicts fear on all your party members, followed by Ghastly Wail, which instantly KOs anything that has the fear status. And it will do those attacks back to back with no opportunity for you to act in between. So if Evil Smile hits your main character with fear, then you're screwed, because it'll immediately follow up with Ghastly Wail and just KO your main character. No questions asked. The only way you can stop it is if you have a homunculus in your inventory, and I think you can only have one of those at a time. So yeah. If that happens, you're basically screwed, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is really annoying. I mean, why can't the others revive me? Why can't they use an item or use a spell or whatever? Why does it have to be that if the main character gets KO'd, it's game over? It makes no sense, and they never really explain why it happens. It's just like, yeah, screw you. That's just how it is. Deal with it. So yeah, and you better believe if an enemy has instant kill attacks like Hammer, Mudo, light-based spells, they will use them on the main character, like almost exclusively. And you can get you can get an item called Homunculus, which nullifies an instant kill attack, but that's like a one-use item, and they are very rare that you can't buy. I don't think you can buy them from the shops. You have to find them in treasure chests, and treasure chests in this game are randomized too, so it's not always the same item in chests every single time. So if you don't have one of those, and you can't repel light or dark or nullify it or whatever, and you get hit by a spell like that, game over. And there was no way you could stop it, because there's no way, if you don't have the option to null or repel light and dark or null fear or whatever, then you have no way of stopping it, because you don't know what attacks the enemies are going to use. you basically get hit and you get KO'd and that's it, game over. It's just makes no sense to me. But anyway, that was my list. So if you actually did watch all this way through, then I'm very impressed. Do you really not have anything better to do with your life? Okay, I have thrown my voice out right now. I'm not good at doing this ranting thing, really. It's kind of hard for me to do it. Whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other. Love and peace.